What's up YouTube, Webbers5 here, coming at you today with the deck profile of my third place, what my friend has dubbed anti-meta Endymion build. So guys, this was the deck I used in my most recent tournament that I talked about in my recent tournament report. For those who have not seen it, I'll post the link at the end of the video. And so basically the main changes I made to this build from the last time I did the update was I've taken out the Magician's restage engine and replaced it with a set rotation engine. So for those wondering why I've chosen to do this, based on what the format's a bit like now, it's a lot of, well, for me at my locals, I'm seeing lots of things like Albaz, Eldritch, it's pretty much just a lot, and also quite a bit of Flunder as well. But essentially the main thing I'm noticing about decks at my locals is they're specialising in either using the grave or using spells. Which is kind of, so I thought to myself of ideas of what I could do to try and edit my deck, and I thought like, this format is very similar to when I played back in Orcust format. And during that format it was basically a lot of Orcust, Thunder Dragon, Sky Striker, Salamangreat. Which is essentially two decks which rely on the grave and two decks which rely on spells. And so my plan for that was using set rotation in combination with Necro Valley and Secret Village, because it basically screwed over so many other decks and did very minimum to me. So decided to bring it back. So without further ado, let's get into the profile. Okay guys, so starting the profile off with the Endymion side of it as always, playing 3 Mighty Master, 1 Servant, 2 Magister, 1 Reflection, and 3 Spell Power Mastery. So the only thing I've changed about this is that I upped Magister to 2. There's no specific reason for this, guys. The simple explanation is after I took out the Magician's restage engine, I kind of had like 2, because the restage engine was like 4 cards. And then when I changed up to the set rotation engine, that only added 2 additional cards because I was already main decking Secret Village. So by default, I just had 2 spots left, so I just kind of doubled up on a couple of cards. Though frankly, the second Magister didn't come up too frequently, but it did just make a very easy card that I could side out between games. Next, into the Mythical Beasts, playing 3 Master Cerberus, 2 Jackal King, 1 Garuda, and 3 Institution. Pretty straightforward. I did end up siding out 1 copy of Cerberus a lot of the time. I didn't really need it too much, but it was still really useful. Lost in the Pendulum monsters, 3 Magical Abductor. Simple explanation, easy search of a pendulum in scale, or another way for me to access Magician's Souls as a monster. And speaking of Magician's Souls, my Magician's Souls engine. So 3 copies of the Magician's Souls, and 1 Illusion of Chaos. Just a nice quick extender. Good use of some dead, and another use of dead spells for draws. There's never really a specific card I want to send off Souls, I just have to vary it on my situation. I'll just add whatever missing piece I've got. Well, whatever missing piece I need, sorry. Spellbooks, playing 1 Magician of Prophecy, 2 Secrets, 2 Knowledge. Up Knowledge to 2, kind of on the similar reason of why I'm playing 2 Magister. I just had I had an extra spot, so I thought, you know, I see a lot of people play at this ratio, so I'm just going to give it a go. Personally, I didn't really come up too frequently, so probably just kind of cut it back to 1 unless I can think of something else. And then moving into the field spell package for the set rotation, so that's Field Searchers, 1 Terraforming, 1 set rotation. Like I said, guys, opted for this engine because it's so good at just being able to shut out a lot of decks. And my field spells of choice, playing 2 Magical Citadel, 1 Necro Valley, and 1 Secret Village. So I find this is a very consistent ratio of what I've got, because I'm probably 90% of the time I'm going to opt for the Necro Valley, because shutting out the grave can shut off most decks, and in the rare scenarios that the graveyard doesn't do anything to them, then I'll usually just go for the Secret Village, and then that works just as well. And on the extremely rare occasion that none of them work, well then it's just a very easy side option, isn't it? I was possibly thinking about trying to add another field spell into the engine, but I cannot think of another field spell that would just be... that kind of fits a scenario that would be useful, or not very useful for my opponent. But if anyone's got any suggestions, leave a comment below. And then finally my one-off spells are Upstart Goblin, Instant Fusion, Call by the Grave. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Moving on to my extra deck. Playing one copy of Artemis. As I now realize that I'm not playing the restage engine, I'm now realizing that Artemis really actually doesn't do very much for the deck, so might cut her out for something else. I just need to figure out what. Then one Crowley for the spellbook engine and an easy way to link climb into Selene. 3 copies of Selene. I've seen a lot of people cut this to 2, which I can understand. You don't tend to need it more than, because I find I don't typically need the Selene more than once. Occasionally I might need the second one if something happens to Selene. Like in my tournament match, I was glad I had the second one for when I got Nibiru'd on the summon of Selene, which was really annoying. But hey, the third one I might not necessarily need, but I'll think about it. Then some of my situational stuff. One Appaloosa for negates. IP to tag out into something new. Dark the Dark Charm of Gloomy. Just a nice option to turbo into a higher for link climbing, since Dark is such a prominent attribute right now. And also, guys, I'm not sure if you can see it very clearly on camera, this is just my nice little Starlight trio in my extra deck. Then, next, one access code talker. No real explanation needed, really. One Underworld Goddess, just a nice way to kaiju an opponent's monster and get a summon off of it. And its other effects of negating your opponent's board and stopping a special summon effect from the grave. Pretty useful as well. One Nightmare Unicorn, just the standard easy option to summon off of an IP. Spin away a problematic card. One Topologic Trespiner. I decided to put this in because of the amount I've been seeing Eldritch at my locals, just as a way to screw over their traps, but frankly, whenever I seem to come up with an Eldritch matchup, the Necro Valley seems to do a decent enough job, so I've never really needed the Trespiner, but it's just there. I might cut it, I'm not sure. Next, new addition I threw in recently, one Relinquished Anima. This card was absolutely clutch in one of my matches. So my opponent had a DP on board, which they foolishly placed in front of one of the extra monster zones. So I'm just like, okay. Special Summon Magician Souls. They decided not to respond to that, which I'm like, okay. I also opened an Instant Fusion at the same time, so I'm like, Instant Fusion. So, naturally I did the Instant Fusion first to summon the Millennium Eyes. So yeah, I Instant Fusioned into a Millennium Eyes, and then I had a Magician's Souls in hand as well. So, did the Instant Fusion first to drop the Millennium Eyes to prevent them from trying to respond with DPE. Then I was like, Souls, Special Summon Souls, turn Souls into the Anima, because they put, like I said, they put DP in front of an extra monster zone. And then I was like, effect, Absorb. He's like, he could either respond to it, or you could just let it happen. Either way, I was going to stop it because I had them on eyes. And then from there, I just link climbed and went into the game. And last card in my extra deck, playing 1000 Eyes Restrict as well. Occasionally I'm going to, particularly if I'm going second, I'm noticing the Millennium Eyes isn't necessarily as useful because I don't have to be as worried about hand traps, and depending on the matchup, my opponent's not always going to do so. Isn't all necessarily going to have a response to what I'm doing. Particularly if I'm in an Eldritch matchup, because naturally Eldritch is a lot of trap disruptions as opposed to hand traps, so I just thought it'd be useful. I haven't actually used it to come up yet, but I like having it as an option. Moving on into my side deck, guys, of what I was playing. I opted on three Lava Golem as my board breaker. Didn't actually. The one situation I opened this in a game, my opponent didn't have enough monsters on the field, and then by the time that they did, I'd already connected to a summon, so I couldn't use Lava Golem, which was annoying. But I'd still probably choose it as an option, except for maybe Nibiru, but I go back and forth about Nibiru, so I'm never sure. 3 Ghost Spell. Grave is just so prominent right now, she's pretty good. 3 Cosmic Cyclone as a back row removal. And then I also played 3 Triple Tactics Talents, because DP is still quite popular in my locals, though admittedly more recently it seems to have floated out of the game a bit for the moment, so might switch this around, but I'm not sure. And then last in my side deck 1 Obs, 1 Pancratops, 1 Feather Duster, 1 Red Reboot. So that's it for the main build, guys, but I've been trying to think of other changes to make to my deck as well, particularly with the release of Ghosts of the Past. One card I've been thinking of trying is Performer Pound Misdirector. For those who don't know what she does, in this deck, her first effect is irrelevant. I like her for her secondary effect, and the fact that she's a tuner monster. So Misdirector is a level 6 spellcaster, so naturally you can see the synergy with Magician Souls. This card actually has a lot more synergy with Magician Souls than you think. So you can think of the first stage of how it works with synergy is effect of Magician Souls, send this, summon, make into the Selene, Selene's effect, bring her back. And then Misdirector's effect states you can target a level 1 monster in your graveyard, special summon it, and then immediately synchro summon with this card and that monster. So that's double amount of synergy with Magician Souls, and lets Endymion now have the option of going into synchro plays quite easily. Because one of the issues with Endymion is we don't really have there's not exactly any consistent tuner monsters that you can play with the deck. This is probably one of the better ones, but naturally the slight downside of that is you've only got the option of level 7s. So a couple of level 7, but one level 7 option I know about is Arcanite Magician, which naturally has synergy through spell counters. So that's something I've been thinking about, but I'm also trying to think of what other level 7 options I can have. If anybody's got any suggestions, leave your comments down below. So that's one card I've been thinking about trying. And another card I've been thinking about trying. I mentioned this in my last deck profile of how I wish I was playing this, and then I said I was thinking about putting it in my deck, and then surprisingly, guys, I actually didn't. Once again, it's Fog King. Because it's just that situation. My deck is in a currently decent anti-meta position with the combination of Secret Village and Necro Valley, which covers 2 of the basic problems. If your opponent can't play spells, usually they can't win. If they can't use their grave, they typically can't win. But the few matchups that it doesn't affect, they usually have the other issue you have to deal with, effects that are tributing. So that's things like Nibiru, Lava Golem. There's also like Flunderies as well. Sometimes the spell or graveyard doesn't completely stop Flunder, and I wish I just had the ability to tribute. My issue of going back and forth with Fog King is that yes, he's got synergy with Magician Souls because he's a spellcaster, and then I can summon it with Selene. But to get him on the field, I'd have to commit to a normal summon, which isn't necessarily so bad, but I don't know, it's iffy. And naturally, my other issue is his stats kind of lackluster if I'm special summoning him, so it'd only be really good if I'm normal summoning him, which is which I don't know, I'm not sure about, but it's definitely something I want to think about. Like, I've got a couple, like with those 2 free spots I was mentioning in my deck with like the extra Magister and what was the other one? Spellbook of Knowledge. I could hypothetically start testing these out, so I might give that a go, see how well the Fog King works out, see if it actually does help in any situations, and if not, well, they're just 2 spots, so it's not exactly like they're going to affect too much consistency of my deck, so I don't know, we'll see what happens. Okay guys, so that was the video, hope you all enjoyed it. Leave a comment down below of what you thought about it, and also like I mentioned, since I'm thinking about testing with Misdirector, comment down below of any suggestions of level 7 synchros that you think I should try out, or you think would have good synergy with the build. Thank you so much for watching guys, and I will see you next time.